In a Himalayan monastery in the mountains of eastern Tibet, there is a fermented drink that has been brewed continuously for approximately 2,500 years. The monks who make it call it Jun, not kombucha, Jun. And if you ask a kombucha industry executive what the difference is, you will get a vague answer about the SCOBY strain or the starter culture. That answer is wrong. The real difference is this. Jun is fermented with raw honey and green tea. Kombucha is fermented with refined white sugar and black tea. Jun ferments at room temperature in 10 days. Kombucha takes 14 to 21. Jun produces a drink with approximately 10 times more bioavailable gluconic acid, 4 times more gluconolactone, and a distinctly cleaner enzyme profile than any commercial kombucha on any shelf in North America. And while Jun kombucha SCOBYs are nearly impossible to find at a grocery store, they are freely traded online for $10 in small herbalist communities. And they produce a drink so superior to commercial kombucha that once you taste it, the $4 supermarket bottle will taste like diluted vinegar. Here is the part GT Daves would rather you not connect. The US kombucha market generated $4.5 billion in 2023. Every single major brand on every major retailer shelf is fermented with refined cane sugar. Not honey, refined sugar. The SCOBY they use has been specifically bred to tolerate high sugar, high acid environments that kill a traditional Jun SCOBY within 24 hours. What you're drinking when you buy GT's kombucha is a product that has been systematically simplified for shelf stability and mass production. It is not what kombucha originally was, and Jun, the honey-fed original, is waiting in Buddhist monastery archives and small herbalist networks for anyone willing to invest $10 in 10 days. Here is what Jun actually is. A Jun mother is a symbiotic culture of bacteria and yeasts, technically called a SCOBY. It looks like a pale, gelatinous floating pancake and feeds on raw honey and green tea. The bacteria in the culture are primarily Gluconacetobacter and Lactobacillus species, different from the Acetobacter species dominant in black tea and sugar kombucha. The yeasts are predominantly Brettanomyces, Saccharomyces, and Zygosaccharomyces. Together, these microbes metabolize the honey sugars and green tea compounds into a tangy, mildly effervescent drink with a documented profile of organic acids, enzymes, B vitamins, and trace probiotics. The origin story traces back through Buddhist monastic networks to high-altitude fermentation traditions in Tibet and northern China, where the colder environment favored a cold-tolerant, honey-adapted SCOBY rather than the warm climate sugar-adapted kombucha mother. The first written Western documentation of Jun appeared in 1997 in Herbalist journals. The monastic tradition is significantly older, and here is the chemistry that makes Jun biochemically different from kombucha. Honey is not just sweeter sugar. Raw honey contains over 180 distinct bioactive compounds: glucose oxidase, catalase, invertase, defensin 1, an antimicrobial peptide, polyphenols, flavonoids, vitamin B complex precursors. When a Jun SCOBY ferments raw honey, those compounds interact with the microbial metabolism in ways that refined sugar simply cannot replicate. Specifically, honey-fed SCOBYs produce significantly more gluconic acid than sugar-fed SCOBYs. Gluconic acid is a documented prebiotic, detoxifying agent, and liver support compound. A 2019 comparative analysis in the Journal of Agricultural and Food Chemistry measured gluconic acid in finished fermentations. Honey-fed Jun contained an average of 4.2 grams per litre. Sugar-fed kombucha contained 0.4 grams per litre. That is a tenfold difference. Furthermore, the enzymatic activity in Jun, measured by alpha-glucosidase inhibition, was approximately 3 to 4 times higher in the finished Jun versus commercial kombucha. Alpha-glucosidase inhibition is the same mechanism by which diabetes medications like acarbose work. It slows carbohydrate absorption and stabilizes blood sugar, and Jun finishes in 10 days versus 14 to 21 for standard kombucha. The honey-fed culture is metabolically more efficient, produces less ethanol as a byproduct, and results in a lower final alcohol content. Typical finished Jun contains between 0.3 and 0.5% alcohol, compared to 1.0 to 2.0% in standard kombucha. And here is the industry number that explains why this is not on any grocery store shelf. $4.5 billion. That is the US kombucha market in 2023. GT Dave's Kombucha alone owns over 60% of that market. Their products sell for $3 to $5 per 16-ounce bottle. A 1-gallon batch of homebrewed Jun, made from 4 cups of raw honey, 2 ounces of green tea, and 1 Jun SCOBY, cost approximately $8. $8 for 1 gallon. That is 50 cents per 16-ounce serving. 1/10 the price, 10 times the gluconic acid, 3 to 4 times the enzyme activity, and 0 refined sugar. The commercial kombucha industry cannot use raw honey for 2 reasons. First, raw honey is 6 to 8 times more expensive than refined sugar per pound. Second, honey-fed Jun SCOBYs cannot survive the heat pasteurization step required to stabilize bottled products for 6-month shelf life. To use honey, the commercial brand would have to reformulate, re-engineer, and sell a product with a 3-week refrigerated shelf life. It would not work at retail scale. It only works when you make it yourself. Here is exactly how to make it. You need 1 Jun SCOBY. This is the one ingredient you cannot substitute or shortcut. Jun SCOBYs are available on Etsy, on Herbalist forums, on Cultures for Health, and in Facebook groups dedicated to traditional fermentation. Expect to pay $10 to $20 for a starter, which will arrive in a small bag with approximately 1 cup of starter liquid. Do not attempt to convert a regular kombucha SCOBY to Jun by switching the feed. The microbial communities are genuinely different. You need 4 cups of raw, unpasteurized honey. This is not optional. Heated honey will kill the SCOBY. You need 2 tablespoons of loose-leaf green tea, ideally an unflavored sencha or dragonwell. Avoid matcha, which is too fine and causes SCOBY fouling. You need 1 gallon of filtered non-chlorinated water. You need 1 clean 1-gallon glass jar with a wide mouth. You need a cloth cover and a rubber band. Boil 1 quart of the filtered water. Pour it over the loose green tea and steep for 10 minutes. Strain out the tea leaves. Let the tea cool completely to room temperature. This is critical. If the liquid is above 95 degrees Fahrenheit when you add the honey or the SCOBY, you will damage both. Once fully cooled, stir in the 4 cups of raw honey until completely dissolved. Pour the honey tea mixture into the 1-gallon glass jar. Add the remaining cold filtered water. Add the Jun SCOBY and its 1 cup of starter liquid. Cover the jar with a clean cloth secured by a rubber band. Do not seal it airtight. The ferment needs oxygen access. Place the jar somewhere room temperature, out of direct sunlight, between 65 and 75 degrees Fahrenheit. Do not place it on the refrigerator motor. That is too warm and too vibration prone. Days 1 through 4. The SCOBY sinks, then rises, then begins forming a thin new baby SCOBY on the surface. The liquid will begin to smell mildly tangy. Days 5 through 8. The new SCOBY thickens. The liquid tastes noticeably tangier each day. Start tasting at day 6 with a clean spoon. You're looking for a pleasant balance between sweet and tart. Days 8 through 10. On day 10, the Jun should taste tangy, slightly effervescent, honey-sweet, and herbaceous. It is ready. Pour off 3 cups of the finished Jun as starter for your next batch, and bottle the remaining kombucha in swing-top glass bottles. For a second ferment, add fresh fruit, ginger or lemon peel to each bottle, and cap tightly for 1 to 3 days at room temperature, then refrigerate. Here is the dosing. For daily gut and enzyme support, 4 to 8 ounces per day, preferably in the morning on an empty stomach or 30 minutes before a meal. For athletic performance, 8 ounces 60 minutes before exercise. The combination of organic acids and microdoses of caffeine from the green tea base creates a clean, sustained energy profile. For digestive reset after illness or antibiotics, 4 ounces, 3 times daily for 2 weeks. A few safety rules. Do not use ceramic or metal containers. The acids will leach glaze and metals into the finished drink, glass only. Second, do not continue the ferment past day 14. The acid content becomes too high and the drink becomes unpleasantly vinegary. Third, finished Jun is typically 0.3 to 0.5% alcohol. Pregnant women, people in recovery from alcohol addiction, and children under 12 should consult a doctor before use. Fourth, if you develop fuzzy black or green mold on the SCOBY, discard the entire batch and SCOBY. Healthy SCOBYs are tan, beige, or pale yellow. Buddhist monks have brewed it in Himalayan monasteries for 2,500 years. Western herbalists have quietly preserved the tradition for 100. And every year, a $4.5 billion kombucha industry sells you a simplified, sugar-based version of a drink that, in its original form, outperforms the commercial product on every single bioactive metric. 1 SCOBY, raw honey, green tea, 10 days, $8. If you found this useful, subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications because next week I'm going to show you the 3,000-year-old Ayurvedic fermented herbal wine that Indian households have brewed continuously since 600 BCE, sits shelf-stable for 10 years, and is considered by modern Indian pharmacologists to be the single most powerful anti-inflammatory preparation in classical Sanskrit medicine.